Hi again then folks, and so we are back to the GT40 model build, and this is part 73, as of course you can see, and it seems to me that this one's arrived quicker. I guess it was because I left the last one later in the month. So for part 73, these are our extra bits, and we have a part carried over from last time, which you'll see, which is this one. Transmission and the wheel, and also our other wheel as well. And so we have a few screws, we've got our parts. Okie dokie. So retrieve the transmission case. So we've got that. It appears we need it upside down, is it? No, actually it looks more like that orientation. Retrieve the transmission case. Place the upper ring of the lower arm of the left rear wishbone, 73A. So I believe that's this. Is that this piece? Yes, I think so. Into the post at the bottom of the transmission subframe. So I think this should be roughly mirroring the other side. Okay, so that one is in there. Got movement on both sides. Step 2, place the hole on the end of the left rear suspension link. That's the one here, once again with the little collar. Over the post indicated, so once again that should be mirroring, I believe, the other side. Make sure that the notch in the lower end of the link is facing towards the subframe. Fit the thickest ring with the smallest diameter over the post indicated, so once again mirroring the other side. And note that link 1 has an inclination. Yep. Secure 1 with an FD09. Okay, so that one is screwed in across there. Now if we flip over, step 4, insert, if we put that way up again, insert the cylindrical end of the hub link, whoops, this small piece, into the free end. So where are we here? Step 5, retrieve the left rear wheel. We have that here. Insert the hub link into the hole on the short end of the wheel hub. Secure the hub link with an FP07. Okay. It's coming together pretty nicely. It's looking good. Then, yep, we've got a wheel. Secure it, and oh, actually, that's stage complete already. So that is done for this one. And that is, of course, done for part 73. So with 73 done, now on to 74. Okay then, so part number 74, we are interacting now with some suspension stuff. We've got our bits and pieces here with some new screws. Still be using the rear transmission and wheel setup. Okay, so there are new parts. Now, step 1, align the hole. So we will need this. What kind of orientation are we looking at? Let's place that way for better access. You want to be careful, as I just found out, you want to be careful turning these wheels too much because these center posts can pop the little pin out quite easily. And we've got more pins coming this time around, so that'll be fun, no doubt. So align the hole. So what are we looking for? 74A. So we're looking for one of the 2 female parts. So we've got the one there. I think those are both the same, so it shouldn't matter. With the hole indicated on the end of the right rear wishbone. Note that the hole in the ring and on the end of the mount must match the hole in the right rear wishbone and secure with an FP08. Okay. Going to be a bit awkward to move this around to show you, but there's that one here, screwed in. In the same way, fit the second lower mount with another screw. So same thing on the opposite side. Okay. Insert the right rear wheel drive shaft into the Rotoflex coupling, so the black coupling mount here on the transmission, one on either side. In fact, you've got a prime view of that one there. On the side of the transmission case. At the same time, fit the free side of the wheel hub between the ends of the lower arm of the right rear wishbone as shown. Okay, so what we're aiming for is to put the drive shaft here into the coupling, and then at the same time mount this piece between these two as well. Insert the smooth end of one of the long pins. Oh joy, more pins. We've got 2 springs stuck together as well. So one of the long pins, smooth end, yep, into the hole on the right rear wishbone, inserting it through the hub and into the wishbone on the other side. Push the pin through the assembly and out the other side, leaving the rough part of the pin exposed. Finish with a pair of tweezers. The rough part ensures the pin is in position and will not come out. As I found out just now, they can still come out because the other one came out of the other wheel, but okay. So, I think that's all the way through. It looks like that's about as far as it should go. At least it does feel secure. Got nice rotation there on the drive shaft. That's looking very cool. Now, I've also tucked the, oops, too high, tucked the suspension mount here inside. Oops, and there goes the pin yet again. So clearly these do not fall out pins do fall out. Now, for some reason, the pin that's holding the drive shaft in on this other side seems to be wanting to fall out, like it's lost grip for some reason. So I'd be curious if anyone else has had that problem, because it doesn't appear that I've done anything wrong with it, but for some reason it's kind of lost grip and it's wanting to fall through, which is kind of a problem. This side seems totally fine, which is odd, but this side seems to want to fall through for some reason. But we move on. Finish inserting the pin. Yep, we've done that. Repeat the last two steps to assemble the left. So now we're going to put this in and hopefully it doesn't fall out of the pin again. Yeah, that pin is definitely falling out of the drive shaft, and I don't think there's really anything I can do about that, unfortunately. It appears to have just sheared, which is very annoying, because I don't think that's any fault of mine. I'm not entirely sure what to do at this point, because aside from gluing the piece, there's not really much else I can do. Well, for the moment, I've managed to get the pin back in, but I've tried sharpening off the ends of the pin a little bit to see if that'll maybe hold it in a bit more. But aside from that, there's not really much else that I think I can do. I could definitely see that falling out again, but I guess we'll have to just be careful with it and see. But if we place that to one side to turn this over, step 4, we've done that. Step 5, repeat the last 2 steps. On the side of this, place the ends of the wishbone, blah, 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 blah. Yep, we've done that. Place one of the springs. Okay, so if we bring this one back with the transmission down, place one of the springs onto the lower mount. Then insert an upper mount, so one of the male halves of the suspension, into the lower mount, positioning the other end into the transmission subframe. Place one of the connectors over the part of the transmission. So we have the small connector here as well. This small piece, we've got 2 of those. Align the holes, then push a short pin. Oh, what joy. I'm not exactly sure why they've started using these small pins. I mean, I guess it makes sense, but screws are so much better. Okay, so put that over the top and then push a pin through. With a bit of a struggle, and you need 3 hands for this one ideally. That is now fully in. Certainly looks good now that it's locked in there. Problem is, exactly as predicted, the drive shaft has fallen out yet again, so I really don't see how I'm going to be able to solve this problem, because this little pin is the culprit. And yeah, I'm not really sure how I'm going to be able to fix that, because there are, of course, the one thing that you need a spare thing of, they don't give you a spare. They double up on screws all the time, but then the pins, they only give you one, which is typical. I think I might try putting that back on at the end, rather than it constantly falling on and off and annoying me. So, presumably we are now going to swap over and do the same thing. Yep, repeat steps 6 and 7. And actually, that side was a lot easier. I don't know if it's something about the angle, but yeah, that's both sides of the suspension are in. This actually has a lot more stability now and a lot more strength. And that is stage complete. So, like I said, I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to be able to do about this drive shaft situation. But regardless, that is in. I'm going to have to figure out what we're going to do with this drive shaft. I may have to use some glue. I guess once we're done with this piece, I could set it to one side with a little bit of glue. That should be good enough. Here's hoping, but we'll have to see. But that is it for part, as the wheel rolls away, part 74. And now, of course, on to 75. Okay then, so for part number 75, we are bringing in the rear assembly that we were just working on. I've got that just here to one side. We've got the engine mounts here as well, and a couple of screws. So what appears to be a simpler piece probably means it won't be, but we'll see how it goes. We've got some screws there, as I said. So retrieve the assembly. It says here, retrieve the engine assembly, which is an interesting choice of words, given that this is nothing to do with the engine yet. But retrieve the engine assembly from the previous stage. Insert the end of the engine mount right. Insert the end of the engine mount right, marked with the letter R. Oh, actually, I could have saved myself a hell of a lot of time. I'll probably cut that out of the video. Into the lower of the pair of holes. So that's right there, I believe. Turn the assembly around and secure the mount with an FD08. And obviously the engine mount is going to be load bearing, presumably, as it would be in real life. So you want to make sure that one's nice and tight. Then fit the engine mount left into the hole, attach the structure in the same way. Okay, hopefully that won't fall apart if I lift it up. And flip over, step 4, turn the assembly around and secure. And as I suspected it might be, that is actually stage complete. So if we rotate that one around, and of course, with 75 done, now on to 76. Okay then, on to 76. If we flip over to the back, again, looks like a fairly simple piece. We've got the left engine block and cylinder head. So if we empty that one out, got a couple of little screws and our 2 pieces here. Okay, so position the left cylinder head over the upper engine left block, 2 different size pins which must be aligned with the corresponding holes in the block. Turn the assembly over and secure with 2 FP01s. Got to admit, screws like this seem a bit like overkill. We've got 2 screws just to hold these pieces together, and then, as you just saw in the other part, we've got these tiny little pins holding the other stuff together. Seems like a bit of an oversight to me, but hey. Okay, so those 2 are screwed extremely securely for 2 pieces of plastic. And then that is, surprise, surprise, stage complete. So a tiny little piece compared to what we were just doing. Not uncommon, of course, for that to happen. They kind of alternate between more difficult stuff and easier stuff. So that is 76 complete. And now, of course, on to 77. And so for part 77, which of course is the final part for this particular installment, we have more to do with the engine. We've got the left engine block, or the left side of the block, which is a pretty substantial weighted piece. It's a nice metal piece there. Got some screws as well. Nice piece. And this smaller piece as well, the hydraulic brake hose. So, retrieve the engine block assembly. Here. Position the upper left engine block over the left side of the engine block to secure, or to ensure even, correct orientation. The square pin in the center of the upper left engine block is inserted into the corresponding hole in the left side of the engine block as shown. And then turn the assembly over and secure with 2 FP02 screws going in here and here. So those are screwed together. Now retrieve the rear axle assembly. Here, of course. Insert, so if we open our hydraulic here, insert the pin-shaped end of the hydraulic brake hose into the hole in the transmission subframe. So if we rotate this around until we can see, seems to me like, again, this is a bit of a dumb point to put this in, because we've got this, I'll show you where the hole is. The hole's right there. Right in here, next to the engine mount. Why are we doing that after the engine mount? There is absolutely no reason that I can see. And of course I stand corrected if it changes, but there is no reason to put this on before the hose. It just makes life a whole lot harder for no apparent reason. And that was a hell of a lot easier to get that in there. So now if we flip over, slide the free end of the hydraulic brake hose, so here, onto the pin on the outside of the rear left brake caliper. Make sure it fits fully over the pin. Now, it looks to me like I've made a boo-boo here. And some of you may have noticed this already, but nobody commented about this last time, so I'm guessing nobody has noticed yet, and I certainly didn't, obviously. But when it says here stage complete, I've only noticed this now. And it was only the brake hose that's caused me to notice this. It looks to me like these wheels are on the wrong way around. But then the more I think about it, the less that makes sense, because each wheel is mounted on 3 points. So I guess it would be possible for me to transfer the entire thing to the other side. But even then, I don't see how that would align properly if it were the other way around. I didn't notice anything before that seemed to indicate that they were on the wrong way around, and obviously that would be a major pain in the ass if these are on the wrong way around now, which they probably are, because I'm going to have to disassemble potentially quite a bit of stuff just to swap the wheels back around. Because it's not just the wheels, it's actually the brake and the hub assembly, which does not match up with the image, because I've got the transmission facing me as it is in the image, and if you've got your own copy you can see it. Engine mounts are facing me, transmission is facing me, so it's the right orientation. But then my brake hose is curving around the back here. Theirs is coming straight across the front, which is the thing that made me double take and think, hang on a second, why does that not look like theirs? Then I noticed that they seem to have the caliper this side, and I've got the cooling duct this side, whereas in this image you can't see the cooling duct at all, which would indicate that it's around the back. So I'm going to actually give this a try and then jump cut to the future when hopefully this is done. So, quick update. As you can see, I have begun to take it apart. Thankfully, it doesn't appear as serious of a mistake as I thought it may be, because I've only had to remove one screw, one lower pin, and then I had to retighten this because the hub came out. I've removed the knockoff as well. So those are the only 2 points actually holding the wheel on. So it's actually nowhere near as major as I thought it was going to be. So if you've made the same mistake as me, at least it is reversible. So I've got that wheel off. And it's funny now, because in hindsight, they could have actually had us do this at this point anyway. But I'm now not assembling a car, I'm now repairing a car because I put it together wrong. So thankfully it wasn't anything bigger than that. So I'm now going to get on with the second one. And I'll probably jump forward to when I've switched these over, and then, fingers crossed, it will match up with the image. And I'm glad to say, with that finally done now, I have now swapped these over, and now it aligns up properly. So you can see now the caliper at the front, cooling duct at the back, and I'm so happy that I, instead of getting angry, took a moment because I was about to get seriously annoyed by that. And now I need to return to what we were doing with this little brake hose. And then we are connecting the brake hose onto now the correct side, instead of folding it around the back like I had to before, to pop that in here. And there we go. The brake hose, oops, these knockoff wheels really do love coming off. And then as you can see, the brake hose is now in there. And that, finally, after a bit of a scare, is step 77 complete. And on that very eventful note, good night. But yeah, I'll see you next time with the next part of this one, and hopefully it goes a bit better then than it did this time.